Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast, the podcast about the backpacking experience. You can check us out online at WTEpodcast.com. I'm Justin Castle, calling in from New York City, New York.
And I'm Mike Margulies, calling in today from Ho Chi Minh City, aka Saigon, Vietnam. And our guest is Will Copestake. He's calling us from Ullapool, Scotland. Will, what's happening, man? Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a pleasure.
So, Will, you were telling us really briefly before we started recording, but you basically have recently completed a year of trekking and kayaking around Scotland.
Yeah, so I spent a year. I started last May, went all the way around Scotland in a kayak, and then cycled up the country, climbing all the 3,000-foot peaks, to which there's 282 of them.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
You climbed all 282 peaks in Scotland?
Yeah, which seemed smaller as a number than it was in reality. I kind of
that seems like a massive number to me. That's 282 more peaks than I've ever climbed in my life.
It took 2 months longer than I was planning on it to take, but it was good fun.
Wow. Wait, so let me stop you there. So it took you 2 months longer than you planned. Did you rest in between, or did you actually just pack enough supplies to do them back to back to back, or what was the setup? Let me ask that.
Well, I had the kayaking was kind of separate, so I had the kayak loaded with kit for about a month and a half, and that was because I dried it over the winter before, and I thought it'd be cheaper that way.
Right.
In reality, what I did was keep everything in the front compartment, which then got repair resin on it, so everything tasted like kayak resin.
Oh.
And then, which was okay. It gets kind of sweet after a while. I quite like it now. But then on the bike, once I was on the bike, every week to 2 weeks you could get stuff. So you could kind of cycle in, and you could just keep going as long as you could find a shop, basically.
Right. So, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna ask you, man. Like, so what? I'm curious, what's inspired the trip for you?
I just wanted to see my own home country and hometown. I'd done trips before, like I went to Iceland a few years ago and New Zealand before that, and people would ask you about Scotland because they kind of want to know about your hometown. And apart from where I grew up and where I went to university, I couldn't really answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I should see. It's funny because I've been traveling around now in Southeast Asia and whatnot, but I feel like maybe I could stand to travel around the States a little more than I have. Although maybe the States are a taller order maybe than Scotland.
as an awful lot to do there.
Yeah. I've been around the States. I haven't been everywhere, but maybe that's just because it's so massive.
Yeah, but by no means we want to undermine what you're doing, because I'm looking at right now on your website, willcopestakemedia.com, and you're able to go under expeditions and see an outline of exactly what you did. And I'm looking at a Google map of all the peaks you've climbed, and that is just wow. It's just like it looks like a Christmas tree of purple color all throughout Scotland. You're blowing it. You blew it up.
It kind of felt like when you're a kid and you've got a video game and you have to tick off every single little mission. That I had this map that I was slowly colouring in of all the peaks, and it kind of felt like a computer game.
Like a video game, like colouring in the maps as you explore the new areas. But
yeah,
a lot more physical work than a video game.
Yeah. A lot more shivering and a lot more cold.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have the benefit of that I have. When I walk to new places, generally I can find a good hostel or guest house that puts me up. I'm assuming you're doing a lot of tenting and that kind of thing, making up your own accommodation.
Funnily with that, I said at the start of the trip, mainly because I was trying to do it really, really cheaply, that I would try and camp all the time. And that worked between May and November. But then last year was, as you guys got the really cold winter,
Yeah.
Scotland basically got hammered with gales and rain, just over and over and over.
Oh man.
So I started.
Is
sort of
gale
once
a
or twice
fancy
week.
word for wind?
Yeah, just storms. Yeah, really high wind. About six.
We're
between
dumb
60
Americans.
mile an
We
hour
don't.
and 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started doing hostels then, and so sort of a couple days a week, and then you'd be back in the tent.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool, man.
I can only imagine that this is that this was a tremendous trip, and that you're spending a whole lot of time by yourself. I know that in your history, just overviewing a little bit of your background, that it seems like you've done somewhat similar trips before, but by yourself doing these peaks. Is that correct? You did all these by yourself?
Yeah, most of them. I did have a sort of an invite to any friends and family who could join to come and join whenever. But probably about 95 to plus % was on my own.
Oh, what is your mental state? What is it like? What's going through your head when you're going through going up these peaks, and it's snow-ridden, it's snow-covered, you're by yourself, you've been by yourself for, a decent amount of time, and holy shit, there's something, there's a pathway that's really not set. You have to determine it yourself, and I'm sure there's some pretty treacherous stretches.
But the nice thing with the Munros is most of them you can get to the top of without any real climbing experience. It's mainly walking.
Okay.
But obviously the navigation was pretty bad, especially in the winter. It's like being inside a ping pong ball with a jet engine.
Oh, God.
So you're kind of down to, you're not really thinking about that much. You're just kind of thinking where this bearing you're on your compass is going, and then when you get to that one, it's looking where the next one's going to be, and the next one. So it's really, you don't think about much. But then when you are walking in it, your mind does wander a bit, and you can think about just about anything as you go.
Right, as you're walking up this mountain, and you're being blasted with freezing cold winds and things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can make little games to amuse yourself, like trying to get to the next rock before the time, and
yeah,
slowly
So
making
you find
crazy.
ways to entertain yourself, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Do you have any favorite stories from? Yeah, I'm sure there's got to be some crazy thing that happened in your time trekking around.
Hopefully nothing like potentially life-threatening, but
Well, if it is,
you
made it alive.
made it.
So,
Yay,
maybe
let's
that's the
celebrate.
story to tell if there is one.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't that many really sort of scary moments. There was one on the north coast of Scotland in the sea kayak where I got barreled in some waves. You had this perfect melee of waves against tide, tide against wind, wind against cliffs, and it was all bashing in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the waves there were maybe 5 meters, sort of curling up over the kayak.
Right.
And that was quite scary.
So
but
you're
then
in a
you had
kayak basically by yourself, and these massive waves are coming and like kind of almost overtaking the whole kayak.
Yeah,
Competition.
they would go perfectly over your head, like these sort of Hollywood curves of
Wow.
sort of perfect surf.
So
and
you
then they would
like
break.
freaking out, like you're gonna capsize and be upside down.
Yeah,
and
I was pretty nervous, really nervous. I think that was one of the few times I got on land and just kissed the floor. I was so happy.
Wow. Oh my God.
But then you get it's this wonderful thing where the locals then will come and say hi to you, and you get these wonderful little sort of cultural pockets. I came up with the ultimate Scottish conundrum because I'd hurt my foot, so I was on medication at the time, so I couldn't drink. And this fisherman sort of came up and went, "Well, can I get you a beer?" I said, "No, I can't drink." So he went, "Cigarette?" I don't smoke. So this guy was stumped. He didn't know what to do next. So he sort of wandered off, and then half an hour later appeared with a 6-pack of Iron Brew, which is this Scottish fizzy drink. It's kind of like a really, really sweet lemonade that they joke is made with sugar and iron girders because it's bright orange.
Nice. That's awesome, but that's the ultimate I don't know. That's very friendly. You know, it seems like people were very encouraging along the way, and you had a long trek around since you circumnavigated Scotland, estimated total distance of 2,150 kilometers in approximately 115 days. That's a lot of time and a lot of distance. So,
I should correct the distance there is actually slightly too much. When I finished, it was 1,600 kilometers. I had to avoid going around the outside of the Isle of Skye, which is this big island. And I sort of compromised in that because I had a friend from Australia who wanted to join me, which was absolutely brilliant. Had company on the kayaks. I thought it would be great. But she'd never been in a kayak before, so we decided to stick into the mainland and play safe.
I gotcha.
But it was totally worth it.
That's great. Well,
she joined for part of the expedition.
Yeah, 10 days or so. Which was great for both of us. She saw a bit of Scotland. I got to slow down a bit and had a real explorer.
It's good to have a change of pace, and I imagine it must have been nice having company for a while. If you're doing most of this expedition alone, solo, it must be cool to have a friend with you for part of it to share in the experience. Yeah. Yeah,
there's certainly better chat than the talking to the front of my boat.
Right. Yeah, I mean that must be like something that does that get to you eventually? Just being by yourself? Is that for me, and we've talked about on this show a lot of times that. The backpacking experience for me and for many people that are doing my kind of backpacking versus the actual trekking kind is the relationship aspect. You're just meeting people constantly and experiencing all these relationships, and versus doing a solo kind of trek, very different experience. I'm sure very enlightening and an awesome experience in a very different kind of way, and maybe a more self-exploration kind of way. But for you, how does it get to you at all, or do you kind of look at it sort of as hey, maybe you enjoy alone time and you can explore yourself? What is it for you?
I like those moments of being really alone, but I actually found it was surprisingly sociable. You quite often find yourself in pubs or talking to people or getting invited to a house and this sort of thing.
So in that sense, it is similar to kind of the style of backpacking where I'm doing, where you are meeting people all along the way. So you're trekking, but in between, say the kayaking 5-meter waves that are overtaking you, and trekking the mountains, you're going and socializing with people, and friendly people, random locals are giving you sugary alcoholic drinks and stuff.
You meet people. Yeah, people will just appear here and there, and you sort of live through these fleeting encounters with folk, which is really pleasant.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're on your own, you can sing at the top of your voice.
Which I do enjoy.
Do that. You start singing as you're trekking.
I was cycling down this road completely on my own, and I thought I was on my own, so I was singing at the top of my voice, and I'm a terrible singer. And I suddenly realised that there was someone about a metre behind me who for about 10 miles had just been cycling behind me, laughing his head off the whole way.
Oh, God, that's really funny.
So you think you're alone. And then
yeah, it turned out,
What?
We had a good laugh about it.
Now, okay, this is going to be a really trivial question, but what song is a go-to cycling/kayaking song for you? Because I could imagine for myself it being something like Sweet Caroline, row bike, something like that.
Well, I actually got a lot of weird ones, like Hey Now Sally kept getting stuck in my head. Probably my bike, I called my bike Sally, so it was there was a reason behind it, but it just kept getting stuck in my head. And Daft Punk's new song too. I couldn't stop singing Daft Punk all summer.
Really? Stay up all night to get lucky? That song?
Yeah, because it was on the radio. I just couldn't stop singing it.
I trek all night to get lucky.
Hey, maybe, hey, ladies. Will, are you single? Are you single, Will?
Yes, I am.
Oh, ladies, please, if you're out there.
If you're looking for a badass trekker, there's one available in Scotland.
Yes.
I promise I'll have a shower first.
Now, And so the way actually that we met you initially, so it was from our previous guests, Lindsay and Tom, who are on their own trekking expedition. And as we speak, I think actually they're trekking through Peru, and so you guys all went to uni together. A few years back.
I'd just like to thank them for introducing us as well. It was very much appreciated.
Yeah.
I have absolutely
It was
no idea
awesome
where
of
they
them
are.
to put us in touch.
But no, we went to university together. We were both in the mountaineering club at uni, so we got quite a few hikes out and lots of socials and drinking tea and partying, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I hope wherever they are in Chile that they're doing well.
Yeah, in Chile. Yeah, Mike, you said Peru. Just correct.
Oh, did I say Peru? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It might be Peru.
I went to Peru
South America,
years back.
somewhere.
They're in Chile. Yeah, that's
definitely
right.
Chile. But
I apologize for the misspeak.
I do want to say something, Will, that I went to school right near. I didn't go to school. I felt like I did. When I lived in Syracuse, I was right off of the campus at Syracuse University, which is right near ESF, the Environmental Sciences and Forestry School in New York.
Okay.
And I don't know, you tell me if this is true, but the ESF kids partied harder and had the most interesting parties out of anyone and any place I've ever been to. Like great get-togethers, like always had like some tofu burgers and regular burgers and like some really interesting conversations, and they knew how to get down. Like, I can only imagine that is that the case where you guys went to
I think we kind of our course, because I was in an environmental science course as well, but also our course was combined with outdoor education, and there was only 12 of us, so we were quite a compact little group of folk.
Right.
But we joined in with the mountaineering club, and we had a sort of wider gang, and our parties were normally things like bonfires or random. You go out partying, drinking all night, and then you'd all end up back at 3 a.m. at someone's flat drinking tea until until the morning. It was great.
That's really cool, though, man. Those are I like those kind of parties. I remember a spirit. It's not kind of trekking you did. When I was in India, I had a group of folks, and we were all kind of on this camel safari together. And it was either like during the camel safari or even before that. We had times where we just set up a little campfire. We had a few beers together. And it was just like really chilled out kind of experience where we're all just hanging around a fire, drinking some beers. And I love those kind of things. So that's kind of the thing you guys did on the regular with the mountaineering people and everything.
Yeah, like we were really lucky with the fact our university in Stirling, right behind it was this sort of open hillside. So you could, within 20 minutes walk from your library, walk up onto the hill and you could have a fire. So it was really accessible just to go and do that.
That's great.
That's cool.
That's great.
So you and Lindsay and Tom were all kind of hanging out at these little events throughout your university time, and little parties, trekking expeditions together also.
We did a few hills together with the university. We didn't do anything more than a couple of days, I don't think.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That's cool. I'm glad that we've crossed paths. I want to know because you said that you've been doing this kind of thing since 18, and the second you called, we picked up the call. You said, "Oh, I just got back from sailing with my dad," and I've gone sailing with my dad. He rented a boat, and we went for like 4 hours with I've an older brother, a younger brother, a younger sister, and then my mom. So all 6 of us would get on the boat.
The whole Castle clan.
The Castle clan.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we'd get on the boat and just go sailing in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland for a couple hours, and that's it. Like, that's the end of the trip. But it sounds like you kind of have this adventuring side in your blood. Is that right? It sounds like it.
I guess so, to an extent. My dad he spent 4 years in Antarctica working, doing bird surveys.
Cool.
This is when he was going out with my mum, and she went all the way to Spitsbergen in the far north, so they couldn't have got much further apart, but somehow stayed together.
Even without Skype.
Yeah, sending old-fashioned snail mail. But then, I think being brought up where I was brought up, we were the bottom of my garden is the sea, and behind it there's hills, so you kind of grow up exploring and playing around with it.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Wait,
Yeah.
so when you were born, were you always in Scotland, or did you actually get to go on any expeditions to Antarctica with your with your dad, or with your mom, where go explore with them, or were you always kind of like at home base at that point?
Well, it was much before my time when they were there.
Oh, okay.
So the closest I've got to Antarctica is wearing my dad's old gloves.
Okay.
But yeah, we did a bit of travelling as kids, but nothing major. I mean, we did sort of family holidays to Ireland or south of England. I mean, really sort of normal stuff.
I gotcha. Well, normal stuff for Scotland folks, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
I think your definition of normal is
holiday.
different than ours, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we're suburbanites.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So we grew up. Mike and I grew up in a field of houses. So you'd have a row of houses. In our development, we grew up on the same street. So we had like 90 houses in our development. And
wow.
Yeah. So you go trick or treating. You dress up. Then you go house to house, and by the time you're done, you have 90, if somebody's generous, over 100, pieces of candy, and then you
for Halloween,
walk down to the next street and get another, 100 plus pieces. So like, that's kind of a picture of where we grew up. It's the way you're describing it sounds like yours is slightly different. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a smaller community. Like if people went trick or treating here, you'd have to do a bit of a walk. In fact, we never really got anyone down our driveway because it was always dark and scary. But yeah, it was more sort of emphasis on playing around outside, I think.
Right, more nature.
Yeah.
And we did play around. I'd say we did play around outside a fair amount. We used to play capture the flag and games like that. Although we also had our fair amount of, as I've already referenced on this episode, video games and that kind of thing. So you probably had more of an outdoorsy sort of childhood experience.
Yeah,
I think a few degrees higher than us, at least.
I certainly played a lot in the outside. Most of my teenage years, I sat in front of a PlayStation playing computer games.
Okay, so we have that in common.
Time crisis.
Yeah, if you grow up somewhere, you take it for granted. It wasn't really until I left that I realised what a great place it was to grow up. It's just if you've been there all your life, it's just kind of the same. But then you go away and you come back and suddenly realise, wow, this is amazing. I've really got to enjoy this.
Yeah, there's amazing landscapes and all this.
I would love to come. I would love to come up there, and it sounds like a great, the landscape. It's from your pictures. It seems a really beautiful area.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, you're probably the best tour guide for Scotland that there is potentially. Having seen, you probably are well versed in everything in Scotland at this point.
I've certainly seen a fair chunk of it. There's a lot more to see yet, I think.
You're the guy on my Rolodex for when I hit Scotland up.
I'll hold you to it.
Yeah. If you ever come this way, you absolutely you got a couch to crash on if you come to New York.
Yeah.
So
hey, likewise, wherever I happen to be, you're welcome. If I am stable enough, you're welcome to crash.
I have a question. So you have a photo of you jumping on the edge of like some peak overlooking the water, and it is an awesome shot. It says the Summer Isles. Where is that? That is a beautiful shot.
Right. What you were saying about going off sailing last week, that's actually where we were. It's about 15 miles due west of Ullapool, so it's up in the far northwest of Scotland.
Okay.
And it's sort of an archipelago of islands. It's in a greater bit of water called the Minch, which is this sort of inland. I wouldn't really say an ocean. It's a big body of water between here and the outer islands.
Oh, okay.
They're absolutely brilliant for kayaking and exploring.
I mean, that shot is incredible. It is a very pretty shot. It's just like, it makes me want to go get a boat and like a plane ticket and a boat and just go there.
We'll have to throw a link to it on the episode show notes.
Yeah. Wait, the Northern Lights. Holy shit! So you have an incredible. Is that a real shot that you took yourself? The Northern Lights.
Yeah, that was this year. It's quite unusual to get the Northern Lights that far south. It actually went all the way far, I think as far as Edinburgh this year. It was really incredible.
Wow.
It's remarkably rare. I think you probably do get Northern Lights fairly regularly.
Okay.
But what's rare is to get Northern Lights down and a clear sky, because it's Scotland, it rains a lot. So it's getting those in sort of combination.
Yeah, that is I've never seen them in real life. That is an incredible shot. It looks like, you picture like the old like 1960s sci-fi films where they came from the sky. That's exactly what it looks like. This green painted sky with these wavy lines of, I guess they're solar. What is it? Solar.
Sort of solar flares. It could be.
Flares,
It could be really quite eerie. Like it's a fantastic thing just to sit out and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because of the community here. They've got a sort of telephone tree thing. So if one person sees it, they'll phone the next person, and then they'll phone the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person.
Oh, that's
and so
cool.
the whole village will know really pretty quickly.
They're on network together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. I keep posting your photos. That's all I can say. Now, what was your other trek that you did? Was it Iceland, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So this was back in 2011. There's me and one of the friends of mine from university. We spent probably less time apart than we did together at uni. We're living in the same flat, and yeah. So we went to Iceland, and we wanted to walk across it. We planned to go out, and it would take us a month to walk across. But when we were booking the plane tickets, realised that you could do all 3 months of the summer holiday. So we thought, well, why not?
Right.
And ended up just bumming around in a tent for 2 months and exploring, and then did the hike.
Very cool.
So you just like walked around Iceland.
Yeah, like we hitchhiked all the way around the coast, and walked from the very south to the very north, pretty much in a diagonal through the middle.
That's incredible.
Wow.
I
well,
must.
How big is that? Iceland. How big? Yeah, how big is it? I don't really have a sense of it.
I was about 600 miles in a diagonal.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a fair amount of walking.
Yeah, by car that would probably take, I don't know. I'm thinking of that just driving straight. That would take at least 16 hours, maybe more, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
By a car. I'm just thinking by car.
More or less. Yeah.
If there was such a road, but so wait, I've never ever in my entire life, excuse me, I have never hitchhiked. I've never done it. It's something that I don't know how I'd feel if I did do it, but I can't even imagine just going to another country and then trying to grab rides across it. So
it's I think it's one of the most fantastic ways to get around. Because it forces you to meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. Like you'll meet the locals, you'll meet tourists, you'll meet just about anyone doing it.
Right.
And you never know where you're going to get dropped off. So you end up we spent the best part of 2 days in this place. It was literally the arse end of the middle of nowhere. We'd have never gone there, but we were stuck there, so we had to. And you kind of explore and you wade around, and then you don't know where you're going next. And
right.
and I've probably hitchhiked over 1,000 times now. I think I've had one or two dodgy experiences, but most of it's really safe.
No, when you say
hitchhiking's great.
No, when you say dodgy, what do you mean? What was it? You just felt uncomfortable, or was there something noticeably sketchy going on?
Twice it was drunk drivers. And I pretended that it was my mistake and got off at the next corner, and that was fine. And the third one was he turned out to be totally genuine, but it was the first time I'd ever hitchhiked with my cousin, so I was pretending it was safe. So he thought it was totally normal. But we got in the back. It was one of these old box vans with a roll top, and so we climbed in. There were no windows, nowhere to speak to the driver. We sort of mentioned where we wanted to go, and he kind of nodded. And then we jumped in, and he just rolled the top down and padlocked it shut.
What?
So we were left in the dark, no idea where we were going, and my cousin was sort of looking at me going, "Is this normal?" And I was sort of like, "Yeah, it's fine."
No, it isn't.
Trying to count every corner as you turn it. The guy turned out to be genuine.
Okay.
I've luckily had pretty good hitchhiking experiences. I haven't done it though as much as I'd like to. I want to do more of it, but most recently when I tried doing it like in Malaysia, I've heard you could hitchhike in Malaysia pretty easily, but for whatever reason I wasn't able to really get people to take me around. But I think for me, one of the cooler times I went hitchhiking was when I was walking across the border from Cambodia into Thailand.
Wow.
I literally just I actually just walked across the, and that's a weird border because it's, you could actually just walk across without a passport or anything, and no one's stopping you or anything. Like, I had to actually ask around, like, hey, where's the place where I do the passport stamping stuff? I had to seek it out. Yeah. And then when I got on the other side, I basically somehow ended up on the back of a motorbike with a Thai person who didn't speak any English, and I had no idea where she was taking me or anything. So it was like, I think you had a similar experience where it's like that adventure of, where am I going? What's happening? And then eventually I got dropped off.
That's incredible to hitchhike on a motorbike, though. That's
that was
awesome.
fun. And it was this moment of just sitting. I remember sitting in the back. It was like exciting. And I'm sitting in the back, and I have no idea where I'm going right now, where this person's taking me, what's going on. But they're taking me somewhere, so
you just have to trust them and hope.
Yeah.
Motorbikes are scary, man. Like, if you got to know how to work those things. I went on a cruise recently. This is totally off topic. I went on a cruise recently for a bachelor party, and we rented motorbikes in Nassau. And right before you get off the cruise ship, the captain announces, "This is your captain speaking. Please do not rent the motorbikes. Our passengers have gotten hurt, injured, and even died, so please do not rent them." And then as you're leaving, it says another sign, "Do not rent the motorbikes." And then obviously we rented the motorbikes.
Right.
And obviously within the first 5 minutes, my friend runs into an old lady and runs into another motorbike, gashes his leg, bleeding within the first 5 minutes. And then later on, my one friend completely flips his bike over and he slides on the side of his body for a good 15 feet. And then another friend flips his bike over itself and rolls into the grass, fortunately saving his skin. But the bike didn't work after that.
You can't see it, but my jaw was open for most of that story.
Yeah.
We're pretty dumb, like, why, we're dumb sometimes, especially.
Let me just write a note not to rent a motorbike.
Don't.
Yeah, if only they warned us.
Yes, yeah. They really should put a sign up or something.
They really should say something to people about that.
They do sound like fun, though.
But I can only imagine, like, hitchhiking internationally, and I've never done it. Just the concept in the United States is very. I wouldn't even do it in the United States. I wouldn't do it. I mean, Mike, do you feel the same way? I just don't. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I have the trust in people. I don't know if people will do it anymore. I rarely see anybody do it.
I think
there are
actually,
I may have.
Huh?
I think there's some states in America where it's actually illegal, if I'm right.
I
think it might be illegal. Yeah, most of.
I think
the
you're right.
I don't know the legality of it. I would totally do it though. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to be trusting of people.
Right.
And you can kind of pick the person too. I mean, when they stop, you're not in the car yet. You can kind of decide.
Right.
Have you ever actually, rejected someone that stopped for you and then be like, "Oh yeah, you don't look right. I'm not going to go with you." Have you ever done that?
Once or twice, yeah, but mainly because I thought they were drunk or they seemed quite scary.
So how does that social interaction go? Do you say to them, "You're drunk" or "You look scary"? And like, how do you politely refuse someone who stopped to help you out?
I'm way too socially awkward to try and do that sort of thing. So I generally try and make it my fault. So I'll pretend that I've made the wrong turn or I should be going somewhere else. And
Oh.
It normally annoys them a little bit, but at least it's then your fault and they can complain at you.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea though. Actually.
It was there was a funny one with about a year or two ago. I actually had a car. I was driving along the road and saw a guy trying to hitchhike from. I think he was genuine. He was trying to hitchhike from a sawmill, so it was probably a genuine guy. But he had his thumb out in one hand, and in the other hand was holding a hatchet. And I was just wondering, like, who's gonna pick that guy up?
Exactly. That's exactly what I imagine. That's exactly what I imagine. Except the guy with the hatchet's the guy who picks you up. You know, like so. Will,
Yeah.
I've envisioned.
That's when you go, oh, I think I went the wrong way.
Yeah.
We had Remy and I, the friend in Iceland, had one like that. This guy just looked dodgy. Had his head skinned, and he was really beat up old Volvo. And we got in, and he took us something like 600 miles. We went quite a long way, like really almost all the way around the country.
Wow.
But this guy, just everything he said just didn't seem to add up, and eventually he stopped and pulled into this dead end forestry track and just went, "I'm going for a walk. Is that fine?" He sort of got out the back, and there's me and Remy sort of going, "Shall we bail? Like, should we just run?" Because he had shovels and stuff at the back of the car, but he just went for a walk and then came back again. But we thought he was a bit creepy.
Yeah, that is my point, man. Will, that's what I'm saying.
But these are very rare. Don't let this put you off. Hitchhiking is wonderful and fantastic, and
you've gone 1,000
best way.
hitchhikes, right? Is that what you said?
At least, yeah, I think at least.
I'm
Wow.
okay. Again, I'm not paranoid, but that invokes paranoia in me. Like, holy shit, I don't think I'd be comfortable with that. My red flag would pop up.
Castle, did you just say you're not paranoid?
Oh, I'm definitely. I am, and I'm not. I am, and I'm not. To some degree, I definitely am. Jesus Christ, what am I saying? You know why I said that? Because I don't come off as a pansy. That's why I said it.
Okay.
I am. No, I'm not. But I am. But basically, I sound like an idiot. So yes, I'm fucking paranoid. Everyone, thank you.
No, I wouldn't. Well, it's all cool.
Oh God. Anyway, all I want to say is that we've been talking about hitchhiking, but I guess I'm just overwhelmed with this feeling like, holy shit, maybe it's a societal thing, maybe it's a cultural thing, but does it happen a lot in Europe, in that part of the world? Is that a very common thing?
I think it used to be. It's getting less popular now, I think.
Yeah.
But people do still do it. There's quite a lot of folk who still do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of backpackers do it still.
Yeah, I think like that sort of thing seems to go hand in hand with things like couch surfing and
Right.
Those sort of things. But yeah, things like the media haven't helped because they always tell the bad stories. But there's a lot of folk who do it, and I think it's a great way to go.
All right. Just to contrast all those horrible stories that we were just saying, what's one really, really good story? Like, what was one where you're like, wow, that was amazing?
There was a guy again in Iceland actually who picked us up, and he took us. It was a couple of 100 miles. It was quite a long way. First of all, we thought we had this nightmare scenario. We stopped to hitchhike, and there were two other hitchhikers in queue. So you normally, if you're the second one there, you let them go. Right. But they'd left their bag in the last car, so they were breaking down, really sort of panicking, and that by chance a police car pulled in. So then we're trying to hitchhike out of this lay-by with a police car and flashing lights. It's not really going our way. But this wonderful chap stopped, and he took us all this way. And then when we got there, he sort of said, "Well, the campsites are full. Just come back to my house." And we had dinner with him. He was really friendly, and he just left. He left us in his house for the best part of the day. He just gave us the keys and walked off.
Wow.
Yeah, I you know what? I think that's the experience that I have, more often is, so there is that, the fears of, hey, what if this, what if that, things you hear in the media, all these horror stories, all this stuff. But by and large, people are good. People want to help you.
It's amazing. Like, people will buy you lunch. They'll take you on tours. They'll take you around their town. They'll show you things. It's wonderful.
And all the time. And my travels, I'm meeting people that take me into their home for days at a time, and feed you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People are nice, pretty much. I'd say most people are good. It's
Oh,
just
yeah. I mean, the vast majority of people anyway are wonderful.
yeah. People will help you. And just like stories you gave, right? Where folks just came and offered a helping hand when you needed it. Like it's most of the time, someone's gonna be there and have your back.
Right.
Much more frequently, I would say, than someone coming in to, try to take advantage of you or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And in the future, maybe it'll be you giving back to them as well, and it's sort of
Exactly,
it
or even
reciprocates
not
everything.
paying it forward to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I got
and that's the basis of the couch surfing community, and the whole hitchhiking thing. It's all kind of the same idea. If we all help, everyone helps everyone. We end up in a more beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
I gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess, but you're right, Will. You do hear more often of the horror stories than the really good stories, because nobody tells the stories. So those positive stories. So we're the first podcast to tell a positive hitchhiking story, I think.
I'm sure there must be other.
I don't know. I'm gonna declare it.
It. We are.
Somebody prove me wrong with a post on the website or the Facebook that says that there's another podcast that said one first. And I will gladly rescind my statement. But so when you're going across Iceland, with your buddy, did you pack food? Did you pack all that stuff, or did you just have a little bit of provisions and some clothes and some supplies and jackets?
Yeah, we carried everything we needed. We had we managed to get our food dropped in 3 places across the middle, just so we could carry the weight, basically. Our packs were weighing about in the high 20s kilograms. And yeah, we basically carried everything we needed for the whole way across, apart from food in sort of 10-day ration stops.
Okay. Where did you drop the stuff off? Was it like I know Lindsay and Tom did it at hostels and different things for their Chile trip. Did you actually have like set sites, or did they?
Yeah, there were 2 places in the middle. There's almost nothing in the middle of Iceland. It's really, really just ash, sort of endless plains of it. But there's a place called Lamanalegar, which is this really beautiful, popular hot spring area, and there's it's a 4x4 track that goes into it, and a hut there that people can stay at. So we could get stuff in with the 4x4s there. And we arranged that from Reykjavik. It was quite easy.
Cool.
And it was the same on the other end. It was another place called Askja, which was this big geothermal place that had a 4x4 track in and a backcountry hut that people could come and stay in.
Okay. Oh, cool. Geothermal. So did you get to go in the water? Is that one of the attractions? Or you just get to watch it?
Getting a soak out the feet was absolutely awesome.
Oh, very cool. I hear that those are incredibly relaxing.
Yeah, they are. We went, the first one we planned on stopping for 2 days, and I think we actually spent 4 there. We just spent a whole day lazing around the pools and sort of having little wonders and exploring, and then coming back and soaking again. That was lovely.
That's how I would do it. Or spend just 4 straight days soaking and don't even leave, and have somebody order in some Chinese food. That would be my.
That sounds like a really good idea.
That's cool. Well, I want to know, like, what's for Will Copestake? What's next on your agenda, man? Where are you going?
I think for the next few years, I'd like to sort of do smaller expeditions and just do a couple of little things and try and get a bit further afield. I sort of feel I've done Scotland a bit now, so I'd like to go and see some of maybe the rest of Europe overseas. Mm-hmm. I'm trying at the moment to write a couple of books about the trips I have done.
Oh, awesome!
Are those going to be on your website?
Whenever they're done, if they're done.
Okay, sweet.
I would like to get them up.
Very cool.
But I have ideas for a bigger trip in the future, but I'm not entirely sure I'm going to commit to it yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, if you do, I implore you to come back and announce it live on our podcast.
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna say you should do that, and put the invitation out there, and it's open ended.
Yeah, sure. I'll make sure.
Definitely. Mr. Michael, I think you've got a
question. I'll ask you what we ask folks at the end of each of our shows, and you can just answer with the first thing that pops into your head. And so what is something in your life that you'd like to do before you kick the bucket?
Ooh, I would like to, some way or another, go right around the world by human power.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, so like have a boat that you're pedaling or something, and then bicycle, and then.
Yeah, I mean, sort of on land. So I mean, not strictly over the oceans, but definitely cross some continents.
Cool.
So you like cycling or something?
Yeah, cycling, walking.
Yeah,
something like that.
Very cool.
Nice.
We should. I think that's awesome, and we need to put you in touch with our friend Tom.
Tom Cartledge.
Tom Cartledge, who.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
No, I'll have to look him up.
He cycled all.
He was our first guest, actually. On the show.
Oh wow!
Back in episode 6, he cycled from England to India.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should definitely reach out to him. He's a very awesome guy. I'm sure he'll gladly share some tips, and I bet you he'd be willing to do a cycling trip or some type of trip if you're interested. I'm just throwing it out there. We'll connect you guys.
I'll have to get in touch.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sweet.
Very cool. Well, Mr. Will, we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great chatting to you and watching the sunrise gently out the window.
It's super late for you right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, what is it? Is it 3 in the morning or something?
4 a.m.
4 in the morning, rather. Yeah, wow.
Well,
thank you for doing this at such a late hour or early hour, depending on how you want to count it, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to Lindsay and Tom again for introducing us.
Yeah, excellent. And folks that want to find out more about your adventures can find you at willcopestakemedia.com. That's the best place for the folks to find you.
Yeah, bang on. You'll find
Sweet.
Everything I'm doing on there.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, and you've also got a Facebook page, Twitter. We'll link to all that stuff in the episode notes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. We'll definitely link to those at WTEpodcast.com. Well, Mr. Will, thanks again, and thanks to everyone out there who's taking the time to listen to this episode of Walking the Earth podcast, the podcast about the backpacking experience. You can find us at WTEpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.